Welcome to Onslow County today. I'm your host, Lisa Whitman-Grice, and you can see we are once again out and about. We are at the beautiful new Onslow County Courthouse. Today on Onslow County Today, we're going to be visiting with David Grovedahl from Onslow County Emergency Services. We'll also talk with Glenn Hatstead about the Complete Count 2020 census. We'll talk with Chance Hellman and take a little walkabout here on the courthouse complex in the Justice Center. We'll also visit with Tondria Leach, who has a big thank you to say for help with peers. We'll talk with Jason McCrae about what's going on for you and your sweetheart at Onslow County Park and Recreation. And finally, we'll go over to the Onslow County Justice Complex and visit with Lieutenant David Evans from Onslow County CSI, and also with Captain Bruce Dixon about the upcoming Citizens Academy at the Onslow County Sheriff's Office. As always, it's great to have you here at Onslow County Today. Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us now is Dave Grovedahl with Onslow County Emergency Services. Dave, you have visited with us on many occasions, and we've talked about everything from Stop the Bleed to what we need to do to keep our families safe in different situations. But today we're talking about the whole blood program, and we were talking off camera about the history of that, and it is completely fascinating and really kind of revolutionary when it comes to patient care. So we want to talk about what the whole blood program is, how Onslow County got involved, and what you want to see our citizens doing so that they can contribute to it. So first and foremost, tell us, what is the whole blood program?
Well, Lisa, it's always great to come talk to you here on Onslow County Today. So this is revolutionary for us. This is just the next evolution, actually, in the things we've already talked about. So Stop the Bleed, bleeding control, our trauma program, this is the next step. And this is probably the biggest thing since tourniquets to come to the pre-hospital environment. So whole blood actually is not new. It started back around the World War II days. Then with the evolution of medicine, we learned how to break apart blood, and so we used it, just the components, for cancer care, for surgery. We weren't using the whole product, but then the military on the battlefield, who really advances trauma, unfortunately during wartime, but we have huge advances in trauma, discovered that whole blood was really where it was at when it comes to bleeding. And so a whole blood on the battlefield has saved countless numbers of lives, and we've moved it over to the civilian world.
You know, you talk about that, and we know even emergency management and the way we triage really was something that, as you said, came from the battlefield. We know kind of our paramedics and EMTs program evolved even out of the Vietnam War. So this is just that connection, and we happen to feel that connection more closely than a lot of communities because of our proximity to Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune. And you all work very closely with them there at their trauma center, correct?
Absolutely. We are very connected to the trauma program. In fact, it was because of the trauma program at Naval that we were actually able to bring this blood project to Onslow County. There happens to be a trauma surgeon who was integral in the first program in San Antonio that now has come over to Naval and was actually very instrumental in getting us started. And I don't know, without his help, that we would have been able to get the project off the ground as quickly as we did.
Well, again, those community connections and our connection to our military families are what drives so much of what we do. So we want to talk about then whole blood. We talked about not breaking it apart. What are the other benefits of whole blood? Because there are certainly numerous medical benefits to that in, as you said, the pre-hospital care.
So what we're doing here in Onslow County is we have 3 supervisor vehicles, and each vehicle is equipped with this cooler right here, which has a unit of whole blood in it. And anytime there's a significant trauma, which 60% of our volume here in Onslow County is actually trauma related. It's really unusual compared to other systems around the country how high our trauma volume is, and we're one of the highest for pediatric trauma. So this is a big deal for us, and we're, like I said, we're very excited. What whole blood does is whole blood is the entire product. And probably the best analogy we can give is a team that plays together for an entire year. They know how to anticipate each other. They can read each other. They don't have to try to explain things to each other. And so whole blood is that team. All the components come from one person. And so it always has known how to work together. The plasma, the platelets, the red blood cells, they all have worked together since their inception. Compared to blood products where a person may get plasma from one person, they may get red cells from another, up to 8 different donors they may have gotten. And will that blood work? Absolutely it will. But it just doesn't work as well as one team that has anticipated each other the whole life.
So this idea of efficiency really within the system, within our systems.
Absolutely.
The design that we are. So several days ago, before we came to do production, I happened to be at our government center and saw an enormous vehicle with the words blood connection on the side. Tell me about the connection that the county has made with Blood Connection and what their role is.
So when we decided to take on the blood project and we knew we were going to have to get blood from somewhere, we reached out to our hospitals and we said, where do you guys get your blood from? And all the hospitals in this area use the Blood Connection, which is a company based out of South Carolina. They use them to get their blood. And so all the blood comes from them. So it was really just a natural progression for us. If the hospitals are using them, then we should probably use them as well. And they actually are able to supply the whole blood to us. And like you saw the other day, the Blood Connection does blood donation, and then that blood actually will wind up staying in our area. And some of that blood that is used locally will go back on our ambulances.
You know, that the idea of that is pretty amazing because it is community members helping other community members in the most incredible way possible. This donation, we talk about donating and giving to people in different ways, but this connection that you're making is remarkable. So we want people to donate. We want people to make that connection. How can they do that?
Absolutely. And if you can donate with a Blood Connection, that's always great. But there's a lot of different companies that are out there. Blood is blood. It's going to go to somebody who needs it. Blood is a very precious commodity. So if wherever you're willing to donate or able to donate, we're always going to encourage people to donate. So if you're active duty military, we want you to go donate on base.
Sure.
If you're a civilian here in Jacksonville, go local. Every 50 days or so, we're going to host a blood drive with the Blood Connection in hopes that we can start building a database of patients that we can call upon that will be able to donate blood that can go back into our EMS system. And the donors that we're looking for are something that's called low titer O positive. So if you are O positive, you're 45% of the population. You're a large portion of the population. And low titer, which means that the chance that we give that blood to somebody who's not O positive will have very, very low reaction. It's very, very safe to give the low titer O positive. If you happen to be in that category, we really are going to encourage you to donate.
Well, I will get in line. You shared with me again off camera a really important statistic. Your first drive that you all conducted over at the government center, they had a goal and they met it.
Yes, and that's always big for us with the Blood Connection. When they come down to do the blood drives, that we can get as many people. We want to overrun the donation buses, and so if our goal is 25 donations and we get 30 or 40 donations, that means the next time they'll bring 2, maybe 3 buses. And so the more frequently we can get, the more people we can get, the more the Blood Connection will come to town.
Oh, that's amazing. Again, we're building it, we're building those connections, and we're bringing people together. Now, I do want to just reference this carrier that you have a little bit more because there is something also special about the whole blood program that you shared with me. And that is really kind of the lifespan of the blood that is collected because it's not as perishable. Talk about the differences and how it's transported again and why this is so important for your team to have.
So once again, it's all about the military. The military did a great job a couple of years ago. The Army Rangers out of Fort Bragg, so another North Carolina group, realized that they needed whole blood. They needed a way on the battlefield to keep blood fresh for 3 or 4 days at a time. And so through the engineering, they were able to come up with this particular carrier case, which will actually keep blood between 1 and 6 degrees Celsius for up to 4 days. Now, we rotate our cooling packs out every 12 hours, so we're well within our ranges for safety purposes. But this pack is really simple. It's just a pack. This is what you find in all the supervisor vehicles. And when you open it up, this is actually your blood product right here.
Okay.
And so here's the blood that is currently on the supervisor vehicles, 1 unit of whole blood. This is a temperature gauge so that we can keep it regulated. And it just rides around in the supervisor vehicle all day. Doesn't require any incredible technology. We don't have to do any crazy stuff with refrigerators and electrical. It just sits in this pack and stays cold. And then we rotate out the packs every day. Very simple.
I am always in awe of what you and your team do and the work that you do in our community and the connections that you make. Again, we want to encourage folks when they see those blood connection vehicles parked at county facilities every 50 days. You're looking for those O positive, low titers. Did I get that right?
Absolutely.
Okay. And making a difference in people's lives. Mr. Grovedall, if there was one last thing you could say to encourage people to donate and to learn more about the Whole Blood Program, what would it be?
Anybody who wants to learn more information about us is more than welcome to go to our webpage. We've actually done some videos, and we'd be more than happy to come out to any civic groups and talk about it. Whole blood is a game changer. It's a game changer in trauma. It's a game changer for this community. We're really excited that we're able to provide it because it is absolutely going to change lives when it comes to trauma. It already has. We've already had the ability to give whole blood, and the patient that had it had incredible injuries and is doing very, very well. Received 1 unit of whole blood while they were trapped in a vehicle, and has not had to receive any more blood for life, an emergency.
That is phenomenal. Mr. Grovedall, thank you. Thank you so much for what you do, and we look forward always to our next visit.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure, Lisa.
Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us now is Glenn Hatstick with the Onslow County ITS program. However, you are representing the county in a completely different way.
That's right.
You are with the Complete Count Civic Affairs Group for Census 2020. Tell us what you are doing, what you are engaged in, and why this is so important. Of course, first thing, the census.
Yeah, so it's important that we get the information out. The census is going to begin April of this year, and we want to make sure that everybody's counted. It's so important that everybody gets counted and their voices are heard. Last year, we lost access to millions of dollars of funding and possibly even a congressional seat. So it's very, very important that we have an accurate count this year. And the important thing is, I think a lot of people are concerned because they're worried about that data.
Right, exactly. So you are, for lack of a better phrase, king of data when it comes to Onslow County. I mean, as our ITS director, you see data all the time. You know the importance of those numbers and you know the importance of accuracy, but you also completely understand the importance of privacy. And with the census data that comes out, it's filtered in such a way that there is not that release of data.
That's right. This data isn't shared in its raw form with any other government agencies. It's used strictly for statistics. And this goes to bringing money into our schools for our children. This goes to bringing money into the area, economic development. But of course, it's also, it's important that we get everybody, especially the kids, anybody that's born after April 1, especially those newborns to 5 is where we really would like to get a great accurate count.
What we saw in the 2000 and the 2010 census is there was some confusion,
Mhm.
because we do have this connection to our military communities here in
That's
Onslow
right.
County, is that do I complete my census form here? Do I count my home state? For our active duty folks who might have been deployed, they were counted based on the port from where they deployed from. And so we know that we lost literally thousands of people in that count.
That's right.
And so this year it's really important for people to, when they complete their census form, to complete that census form with where they are living at present.
That's right. It's important that you count it for this year.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you living this year for the majority of this year? So if you're traveling, if your spouse is deployed and you're going home for a couple of months, that's fine. You're coming back here. So fill it out for Onslow County, and that's a very important point because of those loss of numbers.
Right.
Right. That was a loss of money. That was a loss of congressional access. And what's important too is a lot of people were worried about filling it out, or they didn't want to fill it out. Well, it's really your civic duty. I mean, it's in the Constitution. So if you believe,
we're going to wait for our friend to pass here because that is super loud. Okay, yeah. There we go.
Yeah. So if you believe in the Constitution, this is a part that you get to play in it.
We, as you know, in my life, these numbers are really important too. My life at the museum. We've been doing a census of the United States since 1790.
Right.
We document the number of folks in your household. We document where you might have lived 10 years ago. I mean, those numbers are important for now, and most importantly for now, but they're also important for historical researchers in the future. So every 70 years, that information becomes released. So we're going to release the 1950 census coming up very, very soon. So it's from the moment now, the historical research, and then certainly for projections, because if we know how big we are in 2010,
that's right.
How large are we going to be in 2030?
That's right. It really helps us size the infrastructure. It really helps us size emergency response, schools. I mean, it's just, it pans out into so many other things.
So as you've joined forces, if you've joined forces with the Civic Affairs Committee, what sort of things do you all have planned in the coming months to begin sharing this word even more?
Right, so you're going to see a lot of advertisement about it. We're also going to try to set up kiosks in areas where people can fill it out, because this year it'll be an online form first. And so we want to try to do that at our libraries and some other places where people can go who may not have access to a computer and be able to fill out that census.
All right, so be on the lookout for more information about the census.
That's right.
We're going to invite other members of the Complete Count Committee to join us next month on Onslow County Today to even find out more details about what's going on. But the first thing folks need to do is be on the lookout. The Census 2020 is coming, and they want to be counted.
That's right. April of this year, be counted.
All right. Thank you so much, Glenn, and we look forward to visiting you really soon.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us is Chance Hellman, our collections manager at the Onslow County Museum. And Chance, you have just opened and completed curating a new exhibit at the museum called Order in the Court. And it is only appropriate that we start here at what we call the old courthouse to tell that story a little bit. So we want to talk about several things. We want to talk about the exhibit itself, certainly, but also the research that you've done and how these courthouses, these edifices, these buildings help tell that story. So first things first, here we are at the old courthouse. We're going to walk around a little bit and tell us about where the story originated.
Sure. So we can start with the courthouse since that's where we are, but this wasn't always the site of the courthouse. Originally, the courthouse was closer to the ocean, what we call Courthouse Bay now on the New River. Mm-hmm. But it's moved several times. There have been at least 5 locations, and at those 5 locations, several different courthouses.
Okay. Now, not always courthouses, I understand from your research. Sometimes just private homes.
Right. Several times, especially during the colonial period, the courthouse either was not completed or was not there at all, and so it was held in private homes, which is pretty interesting to think about holding court in your own home.
Right. So court was held quarterly, and so quarterly you had people coming to your house conducting business.
Absolutely. And at one point, a man, Jonathan Melton, held court in his home. He offered the court the use of his house, but he was also the sheriff at the time. He also operated a tavern out of his house, and he also kept all of the prisoners at his house. There was no jail.
So he was the jail. His home was the jail. His home was the courthouse. He operated a tavern business, all in this one location.
Right.
And really what we do know is that those things are interconnected. So it would have not been unusual to find taverns, or what they called in the colonial period ordinaries, because if you're coming to court to conduct business, you're going to have restaurants and
Right.
other things to support that.
Right. In fact, the assembly, the colonial assembly, mandated that the first town created for the courthouse in Onslow County was known as Johnston, had to have at least 2 ordinaries at the time.
Okay, so we're going to take a look. We're going to kind of walk around here and move around, and so we can get a really good shot of this beautiful cupola. You mentioned that the courthouse then moved here from that Courthouse Bay area. About what year again, and what caused that to occur?
So this site began in 1757. The courthouse was completed, and that became the judicial center of the county. And since then, we've had several different courthouses constructed here.
Okay.
This one, of course, was finished in 1904, although it didn't look quite like this. This has been remodeled a couple of times. In 1949, it really changed the structure of what it looks like. New cupola, new weather vane. The facade has changed and it's expanded in size.
So you mentioned the weather vane, and that's really kind of a key part of the story here, because we're looking up and we see this direction, if you will, and that's one of the things that I always think about when I drive across the bridge, is seeing this profile of the downtown area. But tell us about this cupola, or more specifically, the weather vane.
So the weather vane that was originally here came down in the 1960s, and that is part of the exhibit at the museum. So when visitors come, they can see just how big it really is standing in the middle of our gallery.
Okay, and folks might notice, I mean, when we look at this architecture, it's kind of a traditional courthouse, but there are a couple of special features that say this is the Onslow County Courthouse.
Sure. So you might notice the scallop shell motif that you see along most of the windows, and of course in the center. That denotes the county's connection to the coast. And that's kind of a key part of who we are, is being close to the ocean.
All right. So this is the courthouse, 1904, remodeled again. Most recently in the 2000s, we did some work to it as well. Did a lot of work on the interior. And then in the 1970s, we built another courthouse.
Right. So the Summersill building is constructed in '78, add 6 more courtrooms, which was really part of the population growth. So the county, as it grew, it needed to add more courtrooms. There's more business being conducted. And then again in 2019, we constructed another new courthouse. And so we now have 3 buildings where court is held in Onslow County.
All right. So that is a significant part of the story that you're telling at the museum. But the origins of the exhibit actually start with another judicial facility. Talk a little bit about that.
So in 2011, the county started constructing a new jail. And so that meant they had to demolish the old jail. And when they did that, a lot of the pieces that were inside came to us. So we have things like a cell door, and we have a visitation stool, and we have a phone. Some other really neat artifacts that you can see in our exhibit. And so as we did that, we were also constructing the 2019 courthouse. And so the two of those together, we try to tie our exhibits to current events in the county. And so the two of those things happening really meant we should tell that story.
Now, you also got to work with a lot of different folks involved with the judicial system that maybe you wouldn't necessarily cross paths with in your daily job at the museum. Talk a little bit about that experience.
Sure, and that's been one of the best parts of this exhibit, that experience, meeting these people. We created a crime scene. Of course, when you talk about court, we talk about law and order. And so we built a crime scene, and we don't know much about crime. We're not criminals. So we had to ask CSI to come in and help us process that and tell us what exactly people would see at a crime scene. And so we've gotten to work with the Onslow County Sheriff's Department in a couple of ways with this, and it's been really fun.
This has been a learning experience for us. Talk a little bit about what you anticipate the public learning, because this is, again, is not something they get to see every day. We don't all have to, I mean, except for very rare occasions, you have to get a marriage license or your birth certificate, have, process a deed sort of few times in your lifetime you might have to go in the courthouse. Talk a little bit about what you hope our visitors walk away knowing.
Well, I think one of the key things is that so much of what we do today is so similar to what we've done throughout the county's history, whether it is things like marriage licenses, as you mentioned, or probating wills, deeds, going to court for small criminal infractions or civil infractions. Those kinds of things happen, but that's not all of it. The other important part is that it is such a large system. There are so many people that are employed, whether it's in the courthouse or in one of the law enforcement agencies or as lawyers, that really have a huge impact on our day-to-day life that we might not even realize until you look at all of the details surrounding it.
Well, you have done a marvelous job with the exhibit. We've had a wonderful cooperative effort, collaborative effort with law enforcement, with the court system itself, with the Onslow County Sheriff's Office. We've had a lot of guest curators on
Yes.
this exhibit, and it really does show. And I thank you for your hard work and for the teamwork that you built producing this exhibit. For folks who want to see all that hard work, tell them how to find the Onslow County Museum and how to find out what we're doing.
Sure. So the museum's located in Richlands. We're in right next to Town Hall, 301 South Wilmington Street. They can look for us on Facebook. They can also go to our website. Just search for Onslow County Museum. It'll be one of the first hits. And you can give us a call. We're available anytime, 8 to 5 on Mondays through Fridays. And then we're also there Saturday from 10 to 4.
Well, Chance Hellman, thanks so much. And we appreciate you finding the order in the court.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Welcome back to Onslow County Today. And we've kind of just come across the street from the courthouse right here to the beautiful new river. As we were talking with Chance Hellman a little bit earlier, this is more about where the courthouse would have been originally situated. But now it is the site of one of our beautiful Onslow County parks. And joining us now is Jason McCrae to talk with us about what's going on this February at the Onslow County Parks and Recreation Program. Hey, Jason, welcome back.
How you doing? I am doing great. Just got back from vacation, so I am. I'm a little taken back right now, but I mean, I love being back. So it's all
you
good.
rested up so you can come back and do more of the awesome stuff that you do.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
And we all have to replenish and we all have to reset so you can do more.
Yes, ma'am. You always have to recharge.
And so you're ready.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So first and foremost, you all have some really fun things coming up. When we think February, we think Sweethearts and Love. And so what are you all doing?
Well, we have 2 programs that are coming up for February. One being the Sweetheart Dance, and then we have another one, which is the Kids Night Out. Well, it's more of a kids' Valentine's Day party, but also it's a fancy way to say
Mom and Dad can go out.
Correct. Kids
Parents
Night Out,
can go
or
out.
parents going out and having a nice Valentine's Day date, and we'll watch the kids.
Okay, so first thing, Sweetheart Dance for kids and parents.
Correct.
All right, so tell us about it.
All right, so it's going to be housed over at the Government Center. We had to pick a bigger venue because we wanted to bring as many people as possible.
Awesome.
It is a mother, well, I wouldn't say mother, sorry, it's a family dance, so it's
Sure.
one parent and a child, and it's $25 for them, and then additional children will be an additional $10.
Okay.
It is a buffet style dinner type thing. We're going to have like some sort of a takeaway for them. We don't want to give everything away,
Sure.
but we will have a takeaway, as well as they'll be able to take a picture with their loved ones and just commemorate the memories that they were going to be having out there.
So bring your little sweethearts.
Yes, yes.
Bring your little sweethearts. Go and enjoy $25
Mhm.
for the couple.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
And then additional children are $10 each.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Get a buffet, get a commemorative gift, and a commemorative photo.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's going to be at the Onslow County Government Center, which is at Burton Park, right off of 24 and 258
Yes,
there.
ma'am.
All right. So then on the big day, February 14th, it's time for parents to kind of have their moment. And so you all are providing a kind of a party venue for the kiddos.
Yes, ma'am. For $10, just $10, you can drop them off, and we will actually have a great time with them. We will do anything and everything you can think of as far as just having the kids have a great time.
So there's got to be candy. Right? No candy chocolates, big hearts.
I don't want to give everything away, but
Okay.
absolutely yes, yes.
And maybe
yes.
some arts and crafts.
It will definitely be arts and crafts.
Okay.
All I can say it will be a night to remember. The children will have a blast, and parents obviously going out and being able to know that their kids are in a safe place. Great thing.
And give parents a time to get away and go out to dinner, and it maybe not involve French fries.
French fries are awesome. I love French fries, but yes, sometimes people want to get something different. And again, like we talked about before, replenishing.
That's right, recharge.
So yes, so we want to definitely have the parents have an opportunity to be able to get out and have a great time without having to worry about the little ones.
Now, both of these things, do we need to pre-register for them?
Absolutely, yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Now for the Sweetheart Dance, that is going to be, I think we reset the cap at about 250 people.
Okay.
So we're trying to accommodate as many people as possible because we know a lot of people want to bring their little ones out and actually have something that they can do with them. As far as the Kids Night Out dance or Valentine's Day event, if you will, I believe that one's capped at maybe like 20 or 30.
Okay.
So we want to make sure that you get in there as early as possible.
Okay, and how can we pre-register?
You
What
just
do we
go
need?
to our website. Go to the Onslow County Parks and Recreation website, and we are actually transitioning from active into a new program, which is going to be RecDex. So again, if you go to our website, we'll have you step by step, and it has all the information on it that you need.
Now, we're going to invite you back next month. It's kind of a sneak peek.
Yes, ma'am.
Because spring, I mean, it's beautiful. Spring is in the air. And that means Jason has got plenty of spring sports coming up.
It is going to be a lot of things coming down the pipe. One thing that we definitely have to look out for is baseball, softball, and t-ball. We're going to be doing registration for that starting next month. So we'll be doing that. And then also we have a lot of adult sports that we're going to be unveiling, as well as we're doing, I don't want to put everything out there, but we have some basketball tournaments and things like that we're going to be hosting as well.
All right, Jason, the vacation is over, but
Yes, ma'am.
fun is just beginning.
Absolutely. My fun is year-round, so I never stop having fun.
Well, thanks as always for joining us, and thanks for sharing everything you all have going on at Onslow County Park and Recreation.
We appreciate you for having me.
Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us is Tondria Leach, who you are still upright.
Woo!
I imagine you were exhausted.
I'm reeling from this weekend. It was so beautiful Friday night at the American Legion building with us. Oh, it was so fantastic.
So what we want to do on Onslow County Today for this whole year, our 20th year celebration, is say thank you.
Yes.
And you had an incredible turnout.
Oh, yes.
But as much as we would like to think that you just snapped your fingers and it all came together, it took a lot of work.
I mean, if only I could do that.
So we want to definitely talk about your masquerade gala.
Yes.
We know that we had you on the show a few months ago as we were kind of building up and leading to it, and you had a wonderfully successful event. So who do you want to thank for making that all come together?
First off, I want to thank my staff, my interns. They were the behind the scenes helping to plan everything and bringing everything together. The North Carolina Jacksonville JCs, they always volunteer at our masquerade event, and they run some of the games that we play, and they're always there for me, and I appreciate them so much for being there. They're such a wonderful organization in themselves. Texas Roadhouse, the food
was great.
It was wonderful, great food. We had the Notorious Clam Slammers. Oh, they're so fabulous, and they volunteer to come out and sing for us. And what a difference that makes with the ambiance of everything that's going on in the masquerade ball that we have. We have Coastal Beverages who donated to us. We had
so many
Farm
sponsors.
Bureau.
I mean, I know you had a huge
fabulous people just behind the scenes helping us gather items. The 15 wonderful prizes that people were competing for. Even I would like to say a special thank you to Walt and Heidi Bauer. They won our 50-50 and they redonated the money back to Piers. I mean, how sweet is that? I mean, we have some phenomenal supporters for Piers Family Development Center. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who purchased tickets, who came out, who played the games, who volunteered. I I don't know if I could say thank you enough, because it is only our third annual, and it's hard to believe, but we did reach over our 200.
Oh, that's awesome.
So hopefully next year we'll even get even bigger. So I'm so excited about it.
Well, you did an awesome job. Your team did a great job for a great cause. And so with the thank you, you send out an invitation for folks to come next year.
Yes, please join our Facebook on Pierce Family Development Center. We keep it updated daily, and when we're having our events, my staff, they crank out the notices every single day. They will remind you how many days you have left to purchase tickets. And I want to thank everybody, because we even have people showing up the day of wanting to purchase tickets, and we have to give our numbers ahead of time. And so I appreciate everyone who was willing to come out and support us for this.
Well, congratulations on a job well done, and ultimately what this supports in your parenting education
in
program.
Our parenting ed.
And
yes. Unmasking family violence. We're able to help families realize situations that they may not realize they're in, help educate them on how to change certain things, or just give them some new tips and techniques for parenting, and make them appreciate all the time that they have with their children. You know, children from 0 to 5, which is our highest population here in Onslow County, parents only have 2,000 days to make a difference in their life. And when you think about that, it's not a lot of days. And then I was reading recently, we only have 2,555 days to make a difference in our teenage lives. Our teenagers are a vulnerable population, especially when you start thinking about human trafficking and things. I mean, just you have 2,000 in the beginning, and you have a little bit over 2,000 in the end with your kids to make that time with them count, to help educate them, to support them, and hopefully have them go out into the world and be able to face it. And we deal with that every day when we're talking with our families and our kids, and that support that they need there.
Well, thank you for helping us make a difference in the lives of our children, and for the difference you make in our community.
And thank you for all the difference you make as well. I appreciate it.
We're going to save the date, because I've got to get a new mask.
I know. Masks were beautiful this year.
Well, see, upping your game every year.
Every year we'll up that game. You're right.
Well, thank you so much, and congratulations, and thank you to all of your sponsors. I know how grateful you are, but you need to go get some rest.
I do need some rest. Thank you.
Welcome back to Onslow County Today. And this morning we have been all over the county judicial complex. We have been at the courthouse, both the old courthouse and the new courthouse. We've wandered all around this community, and now we find ourselves at the Onslow County Justice Complex, visiting with Lieutenant David Evans from the Onslow County Sheriff's Office, the CSI Department. Lieutenant Evans, thank you for being here with us.
You're welcome, ma'am.
We've been talking a lot today about making a difference in the community, making connections in the community. And recently we had the opportunity to work together on a new exhibit at the museum. And we just really wanted to get to know what you all do here at CSI for the public safety of our community. So tell us a little bit about CSI, what it means. I think people sometimes watch television and have all kinds of ideas, and the role that forensics plays in solving crimes in our community.
Okay, the CSI unit, it means crime scene investigation. Some people didn't know that. We're responsible for investigating all felonies in the county, whether it's breaking and entering all the way to homicide, sexual assaults, and everything in between shootings. We're called in to provide assistance to the investigation unit, because sometimes we don't have suspects named. So we use fingerprints, trace evidence, and other means to identify a suspect, hopefully. Or if they have a suspect, to find evidence that locks them in so they can't lie, because evidence doesn't lie. People lie all the time. So that's what we kind of help with the investigative purposes. And we're also detectives, so we can actually investigate a crime and close it out if we want to, but usually we don't do that because we don't have the time.
So really, I mean, and I love that quote, evidence doesn't lie, people do.
Yes, ma'am.
So without even realizing it, they've left you 1,000 pieces of evidence, all those pieces of the puzzle. Talk about the sort of things that you look for. You mentioned fingerprints, but all kinds of those small details that we might just miss if we were to look at a scene.
It's kind of low cards theory is what we operate off of. Right now we've left something here.
Mm-hmm.
So when a bad guy enters a crime scene, he's bringing something that's foreign to the crime scene that's unique to him. And then when he leaves, he's taking something from the crime scene that's unique to the crime scene back to his car, his clothing, or his house. So that's how we can connect it to. It's just whether or not we can find it, because there is something there, whether it's fibers from his clothing, fingerprints, his hair, saliva, skin cells, anything that he may have touched without gloves on.
So something is there. Now, you all bring all that together. You know, we think so much, and I know we've talked about that you sometimes go out to the schools and talk to them. When we think about the STEM, the science and technology that goes into this, what do you tell young people about the work that you do and what they need to know?
Kids ask a lot, and law enforcement in general, you need your English for writing purposes, to write reports. With CSI, you have to have your history, because you got to understand the Constitution, like all of us do with the Fourth Amendment and the constitutional rights. In the science, we have to understand how things happen in environments. We have to know math, because we have to do angles for shooting reconstructions and that kind of stuff. Then, of course, our reports are very elaborate, so we have to do English is very important. So almost everything in school nowadays, the core classes, to be in forensics, you have to understand all four.
Now, have you seen, certainly there are a lot of television programs that are associated with CSI in some way. Have you seen an uptick in the number of children that or young people, young adults, who are interested in the field, who are asking you, hey, how do I get to do this?
Yes, I've been doing this 12 years, and it gets more and more. I don't want to leave anybody out, but I know Newbridge, Swansboro, and Northwoods, I know for sure those school systems have forensic programs the kids can participate. And I imagine all the schools do. I don't want to leave anybody out, but I know I'm there a lot at those schools. So they get a good foundation of what to experience outside of course, they don't know what the dead bodies smell or look like. That's another shock and awe that they'll get experience, hopefully, when they're adults, if they get into the field. But it seems to be the most popular thing. I'm asked CSI as a unit, but I usually handle it for the guys because I got enough pressure on them with crime scenes to take care of the what we call public relations stuff. So I'm at the schools probably once a month. I'm at least at one school, just talking to the whole program that they have set up.
And so we ask you to add one more aspect to your job when we invited you and asked you to join us for our exhibit at the museum about order in the court, and you helped us, in fact, create a crime scene. We had lots of visitors come and see that already. And what I love seeing, especially like you just talked about, where the kids were trying to solve the mystery. What attracted you to the field?
It was a funny story. I've always wanted to be an SRO. Mm-hmm. I was in the jail working for a couple months. They had a tryout, and I was super competitive. So I tried this week-long boot camp, and Sheriff Brown at the time said, you finished number 1, you're being reassigned to CSI. I had no idea what it was, what I wanted. I saw it on TV. It just come out. It was in 2008, so it was just pretty brand new. I had no desire to be a CSI. It just happened that way, and I've gotten pretty good with it, just like the rest of the guys in CSI. Our unit as a whole is extremely good at what we do.
And, that's the one thing that I saw as you all came into the building, into the museum, was the camaraderie and the teamwork, the communication between you all as you were working out the finer details. Again, when we think about young people who are interested in a field, share with us how important it is to have that level of communication and that kind of teamwork collaboration.
Right now, we're a fairly young unit. Me and Sergeant Gordon, we've been together 12 years. The other guys have about a year, and then we have one that has a couple months. We're all good individually, but we're great together. So we're better together than we are by ourselves. So at a homicide, we always work at least 2 or 3 together, just because we all bring something different to the table. Rank doesn't matter, experience. If it makes sense, we're going to do it. We try different things, but as a unit, we're stronger together than we are individually.
Well, Lieutenant Evans, we appreciate the time that you gave to us at the museum, but so importantly, what you do for the community. And thanks for being part of this spotlight here as we visited all of the county's judicial system.
Oh, you're welcome, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
Welcome back to Onslow County today, and joining us now is Captain Bruce Dixon with the Onslow County Sheriff's Office. Captain Dixon, thank you for coming and joining us today. We've kind of been making the rounds. We've been at the courthouse and we talked with Lieutenant Evans about what he does with CSI. But your job, one of your jobs, I should say, with the Sheriff's Office, is that you coordinate Citizens Academy. Tell us what that is.
Yes, ma'am. In 2017, Sheriff Miller authorized that we start up a Citizens Law Enforcement Academy.
Okay.
And this is a 10-week program, one night a week,
Wow.
that allows our citizens to come down to the Sheriff's Office and experience and share exactly what we do, where we earn our tax dollar and how we earn our tax dollar. We cover all facets of the Sheriff's Office, all duties that all the deputies perform, and we allow our citizens to ride front seat with that deputy on patrol in a ride-along program as well.
That is something, to really, when we see the Justice Complex and we talk about the role of the Sheriff's Office in our community and all of the men and women that work with you all, it is so complex and so comprehensive. But you all touch our lives from your SROs in the school system to bailiffs. You all cover the county literally.
Yes, ma'am. From the courtroom all the way to the rural streets right out in our counties.
Now, when they take this 10-week class, I know that you're preparing right now the agenda for your upcoming spring class that starts in February. What are some of the things that they'll see on those classes?
Yes, ma'am. Within that 10-week program, it's one night a week, and it runs from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., 3 hours, one night a week for a total of a 30-hour course. We will start on day one with the introduction to the sheriff, to meet Sheriff Miller. He will go over his chain of command and list his responsible supervisors for each of his divisions. And then we'll go into the ethics of law enforcement, what it takes to become a law enforcement officer, and the ethics and morals that those law enforcement officers try to hold dear to make sure they do their job professionally and with courtesy and respect. The second week, we're a full in-depth tour of our 528-bed detention facility, and they'll get a personal brief of the detention officers that work there, how they handle their duties, and how they interact with the inmates within the facility, and a demonstration of our correctional emergency response team. In the event that there is some type of disturbance within the detention facility, we'll demonstrate how that response team handles it with no injury to any personnel.
And this is a remarkable building. I was fortunate enough when I was working with our communications office to be able to help coordinate tours of this facility. And it's pretty awe-inspiring and a little bit overwhelming when you hear that door slam behind you.
You are incarcerated.
How long have you been with the Onslow County Sheriff's Office?
I'm a retired Marine. I retired in 2004, and I swore in with the Sheriff's Office in 2005. So I have been here for, don't make me do math. That's
okay. But we were talking off camera. You actually were an MP when you were in the Marine Corps.
That is correct. I was a young military policeman here at Camp Lejeune starting in 1980.
So law enforcement has been what you have been called to do your whole life, really?
Yes, ma'am. I know no other profession.
And so now you're taking that and you're teaching our citizens what that means. You're sharing that story with them.
Yes, ma'am. And it's a share. I'm truly sharing it. And I'm hoping to build friendships That's the biggest thing in our community is that friendship, that trust, that bond between their law enforcement and the citizen themselves. So one class at a time, one person at a time, try to bridge that friendship.
Now you're getting ready to launch your spring class. It's getting filled up. You're working on the programming. But for citizens who didn't get a chance to sign up for the spring, you're going to offer this again in the fall, sir.
Yes, ma'am. We
Okay.
offer a spring class in February of each year, and then we offer a fall class starting in September.
Okay.
So social media, we do utilize that, and whatever other media outlets that we can to advertise it. But if they cannot get in on this February class, please sign up for the fall class in September.
Okay, and they can just call the main number here at the sheriff's office?
Yes, ma'am. They can call the sheriff's office, or they can just ask directly for me, Captain Bruce Dixon, here at the sheriff's office, and I'll be more than happy to provide all the information.
Well, sir, we thank you for your time. We thank you for your commitment to public safety and law enforcement here in Onslow County, and for your time in the United States Marine Corps, and then bringing that experience here and all the years that you've spent doing that, and for sharing that story.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
As always, we want to thank you for joining us for Onslow County today, and a very special thank you to our guest who joined us here at the beautiful Onslow County Courthouse and at the Onslow County Justice Center. We invite you to join us next month on Onslow County Today, when we'll be talking with Victoria Reyes with the Onslow County Health Department, talking about New Start to the New Year. As always, we're so grateful that you've joined us, and we invite you to get out and explore your Onslow County today.